Welcome in, everybody. We are currently at HHN 32 to cover opening night for you guys. So, without further ado, with the arch behind me, let's talk about it. We ended the camera too late. Literally, Zombie Chris approached us right after we finished that. But we're gonna go into the park. We got Stand Scream today. Dude, this is gonna be hype. I'm hyped. Are you hyped? Are you hyped?
I'm so hyped.
Let's do it. And the beautiful, the oh so beautiful arch. All right, last time we talked, we were going into Stand Scream. It absolutely hurricaned. It hurricaned here, guys, basically. But we Stand Screen for The Last of Us, and we just got out of that house. And how are we feeling about it?
It's a 10 out of 10.
It's a 10 out of 10.
Cried.
10 out of 10. That was a beautiful house, man. Oh my god. All right, so I don't know where we're gonna go next, but we'll keep you updated and hopefully not get hurricaned on again. All right, let's go. All right, guys, we're making our way to Darkest Deal, but first things first, let's go through the Jungle of Doom Scare Zone, the one that is extremely detailed, and I see the fog from here, and you can barely see through this place. So let's do it. We're in the jungle, guys. Obviously, I don't think there's any scare actors out right now because of the obvious rain. But dude, I'm ready to see some scare actors come in here. This looks dope. So, I'm very excited to see when there's some scare actors in this zone because, man, this is, let me turn it up a little bit so you guys can see a little bit more in here. This fog is thick. A little segue on our adventures through HHN is the fact that the rumor of Mel's dying not being lit, well, that was a lie, because look at this. You see that? Hold on, let me, yeah, it's lit, guys. It's lit. Literally and figuratively. It's lit. All right, guys, so next house of the night is going to be the Darkest Deal. Let's do it.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the vlog. I didn't record anything after a few houses last night because honestly we just got so wet from the storm, and we honestly just turned in a little bit early last night, so we're gonna make this a whole opening weekend vlog for you guys. But I did not talk about Universal Monsters' house. Dude, that was by far my favorite house of last night. Obviously I haven't done all of the houses yet, so I can't say it's the best house of the year yet, but that was a fantastic house. Man, all the houses honestly this year are going to be top tier. Scarezones are top tier, the environment is top tier, the merch is top tier. I'm currently wearing the house shirt and the brand new hat as well. Dude, they're killing it this year. Far better in my opinion than the previous 2 years have been for me. Man. But we're going back tonight and we're going to vlog all that for you guys and go through the rest of the houses. And we're here all weekend, baby. So we're going to get to the, the experiences, like, for example, the Chucky experience, and we're gonna look at all the Monster Gallery stuff, and we're gonna get all that vlog for you guys this weekend. So without further ado, let's dive straight into that.
All right, guys, we are currently at Universal City Walk for HHN Day 2, and we're gonna check out the Dead Coconut Club today.
Yes.
You excited?
I'm very excited. We just saw Brian and Frank, so hopefully we'll see them when we get inside.
So we're gonna go on in and show you the business. Ready? Ready. We're ready.
Good morning, everybody. I know I did not record much yesterday, but I made the conscious decision of taking one of the days of this opening weekend to just sit and enjoy the event, because I mean that is advice I always give you guys in like first timers guides and things like that. So I actually took the time yesterday to just enjoy the event without being behind the camera. But we got through almost every house. All we have left to do tonight is Stranger Things. But guys, the houses are top tier this year. They really are. I know I said this already, but they're very top tier. The only thing is this year is so packed, guys. So if you're coming to HHN this year, I recommend either getting, first of all, Express or Stay Screen. And then second, I would recommend, if you don't want to do those, at least come several days, because you're not going to get through everything in one night this year. It is insanely packed. Waits are rarely below an hour for anything, so I recommend, if you're going to come to the event, yeah, bring something. But the standout house for me, which is surprising, because I wasn't very hyped about it, because I didn't know anything about it, but the standout house for me so far is Dueling Dragons. That house is very beautiful, very creative, so much big areas in there. But then I obviously have ODDFELLOW and Last of Us and Monsters and things like that to consider. So it's definitely going to be some time that I need to think about before I do any sort of house ranking. But today, first things first, is we're going to switch resorts. We're heading over to Cabana Bay today. I'm going to try out the Chucky experience, check out the Swizzle Lounge that's themed to the Pumpkin Lord, and all of that. So today is going to be very heavy with content. I plan to film a lot more today. But without further ado, we're going to check out of this hotel room and head on over to Cabana Bay.
All vain, selfie-obsessed fools. So, you won't regret it. I'm checking. Wanna play? Suckers, I know you're all vain. Pass the popcorn.
Alright guys, so we're back at HHN 32 for the final night of opening weekend. We just went through Stranger Things.
Stranger Things.
It was okay.
It was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Some scenes for me a little underwhelming, but overall it's better than some we've gone through so far.
Yeah, definitely really good. It's just nice to be in Stranger Things again.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, we're gonna make our way around the park. Not sure what we're doing tonight because we've done all 10 houses at this point, but
Yeah.
I don't know, we'll see where the night takes
have
us.
fun.
Yeah, we'll see where it takes us.
Yes.
We stay in Scream for The Last of Us, and I'm not disappointed in The Last of Us at all.
No, not at all.
Last of Us, very beautiful sets. I mean, the way some of it worked, like the clickers and the bloater, and then Joel, and
Yeah.
there's going to be spoilers in this.
Yeah.
If you don't want to see spoilers, I'm so sorry. You can ignore this part of the video. But there's going to be spoilers here because I really don't know how to talk about this stuff without it.
Yeah.
But the way they did the clickers and the bloaters and having Joel up in higher places
Yeah.
and using, you know, their voices to introduce you to the next section of the house. Obviously, yes, it's a little portion of the actual 10-hour game, but we knew this.
Yeah.
And no, I don't have any complaints for The Last of Us. The Last of Us, honestly, is one of the strongest houses this year. As of opening weekend, one of the strongest houses this year. Then we did, what did we do after The Last of Us? Oh, Darkest Steel is what we did next. Darkest Steel, I didn't hate Darkest Steel.
No, it was, I mean, I don't think there's necessarily any house this year that I hated.
Yeah.
But the Darkest Steel was really good. I felt like it was a very short house. That's the only thing that I felt about it. I feel like you got through it pretty quick.
Yeah. Like, again, the set was great, the characters did great. Just it did feel very short.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just because, I don't know, we only went through these things once.
Yeah.
Besides one house we went through twice, just because of how busy it was. So maybe when we go multiple times throughout the event and go through these houses again, maybe they'll have different impacts, but
Yeah.
it did feel very short.
And see, I don't know if it's because we were just kind of like on that high of like we just hit our first house, like rushing to the second, like zooming through it. Like I don't know, maybe that had to play into it, but
I did like, obviously, the vibes of it. I'm a big fan of the whole like occult South storyline that is used throughout several pieces of media, but putting it in here was why it was so high on my hype list. I know it was low for you, I believe.
I really don't remember at this point.
But it was really high on my hype list, and so I did genuinely enjoy it. Just it did feel short compared to the other Sprung 10 house that was there. I was gonna go in the order where we did it, but it was a hectic weekend, so I don't even know. So we're just gonna go jump to the biggest house of the event, and that's gonna be Stranger Things. Honestly, a little disappointed in Stranger Things this year.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, obviously, it wasn't super high on my hype list. Like, it was like 5 or 6, like most hyped. But I don't know, man.
I don't know. I feel like I was expecting a lot more, given that like everybody's talked about that most of like their budget for this year went into this house and into The Last of Us, and you can see it in The Last of Us. But in Stranger Things, I just felt like there was a few moments that like needed more, and they didn't put it in there, and it felt a little weak.
Like, it may be nitpicking, but like, for example, one of the biggest scenes of season 4 of Stranger Things is where Max is running away from Vecna while running up that hill is playing. Yeah, that's in the house, but Max, maybe when we went through she wasn't there. But when we went through, there was no Max scare actor in that area. It was just Vecna all around. It did have the projection of obviously Max floating in there.
Yeah, like the vision that she sees in the distance.
Yeah, but no Max. And then running up the hill was playing, but it was very quiet and muffled over the sound of what was going on in the whole Vecna mindscape. So it was barely there, and that was the only time you heard it throughout the entire house.
It was like to the point that when we first walked into like the Vecna area like that, it was so low that I thought like as you progress and got closer to like the end towards where the opening was where she like escapes, I thought it was gonna like maybe get louder, but it was very much just like so far off in the distance sounding.
Yeah. And then the other one I will nitpick is the Master of Puppets scene. I get it could be very hard to do by elevating the scare actors. They didn't really elevate them. Maybe just a little platform. That was it. The room was pretty because it was surrounded by the lightning and all other stuff. But first of all, Eddie wasn't holding a guitar in that room.
Yeah.
Maybe this is just when we went through. But when we went through, Eddie wasn't holding the guitar.
Right.
The song was playing, but that's it. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, I wasn't as disappointed in that scene as I was the Max and Vecna area, but I definitely was kind of like expecting like the more like higher up for Eddie on the trailer, like maybe see that part. But it really was just kind of like a platform surrounded by some screens. But the screens and like the projections and everything in that room looked really cool, and everything looked great. The Dustin actor looked like Dustin. I was like kind of really shocked by it. That was
Yeah.
that was my one moment in the house. I was like, whoa, because they casted him really good, and they interacted really well up there. It was just kind of like, it wasn't really that moment.
It's like it
that
was
we were
missing
looking for.
something. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's like it was missing something, I guess. There was parts of the house I liked. Like I liked the whole Lucas scene where Max was floating or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you have Lucas coming out on one side and then the Jason coming out on the other. That was really cool. I like that. I like the whole like 11 part
Yeah.
with Henry. I
Yeah.
liked all that. Like the Henry's characters were really good. I liked all
Yes.
of that. That was good. And obviously where she came out and did that and you saw like the projection on his chest. Like that was really good. I like that part.
It really was to me. Like, I feel like it was all really, like, going really well when he first walked in. Like, the facade and everything, and, like, hearing Eddie calling out at Christy, and, like, seeing Chrissy on the ceiling, and then Eddie, like, popping out across from her and everything. Like, that was cool. And, like, as you went in, it was cool. But then when you get to those moments that, like, you're really waiting for, it just felt a little flat.
Yeah. But that's Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Moving on, we're gonna go to The Exorcist. Exorcist, was my lowest. It was like the lowest of low for my height.
Yeah.
When I went through, obviously I still don't know the movie because it hasn't come out. Sorry, that's Salem. It hasn't come out, so I don't know like anything about it. But from going through the house, just maybe thinking of it as just an original house, it was good to me.
Yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised by that house. Obviously, like, I was kind of lost because I'm like, where are we? But you could kind of put it together, and the actors in there were doing a really good job. There was moments in there that kind of got me, and that was one of the first houses that really gave me a little scare this year.
Then we get to Chucky. No hate to the scare actors,
No.
obviously. Nothing like that. But Chucky was the worst house so far. To me. It was the worst. Like, completely felt like a mess. Maybe that was their intention to make it feel like that, because obviously it's him hijacking a house that was made for him or whatever.
Yeah.
But just messy. I don't know, TVs, like, instead of, like, actual scenes at some points. I don't know, man. Maybe because they didn't have a good amount of space. Maybe it would be better in, like, Hollywood when it's in, like, a soundstage. But, like, man, I don't know. Just going through there, I just was not vibing with it.
Yeah. And I remember coming out of there feeling like, I think maybe we might have caught it during a cast change. Because I felt like there was a lot of empty spots that, like, I was looking at, and it looked like someone was supposed to be there, and there wasn't. So that probably could have affected it a lot. But it definitely just, like, with the story we were getting on it about him, like, hijacking his Universal house or whatever, and then even having, like, the Q line videos
Yeah.
to make you feel, like, so excited, and, like, everything's, like, hyped up, and Chucky's, like, killing the team members. And then we got in there, and it just, like, I don't know, it wasn't exactly what I was expecting when this was the description that we got.
It's crazy. Like, literally the first, like, facade, I guess, of it was that was the highest point of the house to me. Where it was, like, just
Oh,
Chucky
the
sitting
halfway
there. No, just Chucky
Oh.
sitting there. Just
Yeah.
Chucky sitting there
The
right when you walk
animatronic.
in, just talking to you. That was good.
Yeah.
After that, downhill. That's it. Like, that's it.
I like seeing Linda.
Yeah, but once. Maybe it's because it was a cast change, but once. Apparently Tiffany's in the house too. Didn't see
Oh,
her.
really?
Yeah, so
Didn't see Tiff.
we'll have to redo it.
Yeah.
But man, yeah, I don't know. Hopefully it changes throughout the event. Maybe they're gonna adjust things. But man, that didn't hit like it should have. Honestly.
Yeah. And then I feel like the fact that, like, this was announced a year ago really, like, built the anticipation for me, so.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like maybe they didn't know what they were planning on doing when they announced it or something a year ago. I don't know. But on a lighter note, let's move to Universal Monsters Unmasked.
Yes.
Probably one of the best houses of this year.
Yeah.
That's really all I can say about it because I don't have complaints on it. We went through it twice. That was the one house we got to do twice throughout the weekend. And honestly, could be my number one house if I was ranking it, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's so good. Set's really good. Actors did really well. Three-way scares. Like,
Also, have to mention the one part, the bungee, that part. gets me every time. I'm just like in awe walking underneath.
Yeah, like, man. Yeah, Monsters is good.
Monsters is very good. Monsters never misses the mark for me.
Yeah, all their houses have been good to me whenever they started doing them. So, like, I feel like as long as they stick to the formula they're doing, of how they're doing it, I don't think Monsters will ever be considered a bad house.
Yeah.
But it's definitely one of the strongest ones this year,
Yeah.
to be honest.
We have to talk about the facade too, because that.
Yeah, the facade with the rain.
Yes.
And the police officer on the top of the bridge, I guess it is. That's really good. It's really good.
Yeah. There's so many good moments in that house for sure.
Then we move on to Dr. Oddfellow's Twisted Origins. Maybe I'm biased because I love Dr. Oddfellow's character so much, but again, this was a fantastic house.
I can agree.
Like obviously the Jack nods throughout the house with the little Easter eggs, like the wanted poster, his box, his costume, then obviously the silhouette of him getting killed was really good, but just sticking out of the Jack part, Dr. Oddfellow stands on his own in this house.
Yes.
Like, the way we've all been sitting, it's like, yeah, he's Jack's lore, he's Jack's origin story, but, like, this house is Dr. Oddfellow's origin story. So don't go into this house thinking it's going to be Jack's.
Yeah.
Because, yes, Jack's start is in there, but that's not what the house is about.
Yeah, no. This event has definitely, with the zone as well as this house, shown, like, I was kind of worried that, like you said, Oddfellow would get kind of overshined with the fact they're like, oh, he's just kind of like the creator of why Jack is who he is now. But he kind of just stands on his own. Like, I can't say that I really thought about Jack at all.
Yeah.
I've been like, oh my god, Oddfellow. Like, even in
Exactly.
the house, I kind of forgot to be. I saw the things, but I wasn't intentionally looking for them because I was like, oh my god, Oddfellow.
Yeah.
He's very much standing his own.
The facade for that is fantastic. Just everything about that house is really good. When you get into his caravan at the end, that's fantastic. Man, no, this house is top tier. And maybe it's because we're biased a little bit, because we love this character a lot. But yeah, definitely way better than a lot of other houses.
Yeah.
Then we're gonna get to Dueling Dragons Choose Thy Fate. Dude. Okay, so if you guys watched the hype video, this was like number 9 for me. Like,
Yeah.
I was not really hyped about this because I didn't go to the Islands of Adventure when this was a ride. I knew nothing about the story. But we went into this house, man, and this is honestly, I'll say this is the most beautiful house at the event this year. Just the facade and every single room, the way they incorporate fire and ice throughout every single room, like with lights and whatever they may use. And obviously the dragons in there. Everything is pretty.
Even down to the costuming. I love
Yeah.
the costuming in this house.
But that first facade you walk into, the giant tree, dude,
Yeah.
that's so good. And then obviously the ending where you get to choose your own fate is something we
Yeah.
have never seen, really. Go right or left, and then obviously it's fire or ice.
Yeah.
Choose. We went through fire. Again, we only went through this once.
Yeah.
We went through fire, but apparently there's 4 different endings with
Yes.
these 2 paths. But yeah, Dueling Dragons is fantastic.
Yeah. I cannot explain the excitement I felt in that house, and I never expected to.
Yeah,
With
that
the
did
fact
not.
that I didn't have, like, the background and attachment that a lot of people have to, like, the Dueling Dragons.
Mhm.
It was just so good. And then seeing that bright choose thy fate, like, on the wall, and realizing that we really were actually getting to pick our path.
Yeah.
I don't know. I got so excited. It was so good.
Alright, then moving along to Yeti Campground Kills. This was number 2 for me on my hype list. And like I said, it was fantastic. You thought I was gonna say it wasn't, but it was. It was amazing. Oh man. Yet it was so good. It was everything I wanted, obviously, with it being outside the entire time. And they incorporated like past Yeti scares with like the hand coming down, like back in 29 had. Like the baby Yeti in there.
Baby
And
Yeti.
obviously the goat, HHN
HHN
Bear was in there.
Yes.
Man, that was the only house where I actually shouted in, where I was like yelling HHN Bear when I came through. That was the only, because sometimes I'll do that house and I'm like, yeah!
Yeah.
But I didn't do that in any of the houses this year besides Yeti. When I saw HHN Bear, dude,
I love it.
Yeah, no, this is a great house. Obviously, it's campy. Like, obviously,
Okay.
it's Yetis and
Very
you're
much.
outside.
It's definitely like the fun house to me.
Yeah.
Just too many moments that made me giggle.
I would not say it's like the tier of like Dueling Dragons and stuff right now. But it's solid and
Yeah.
it's good to go. I would definitely go through it again. But yeah, Yeti's good to me.
Yeah.
Then we're gonna get to again another one that was unexpected for me. It was like number 8 on my hype list, and that is Blood Moon Dark Offerings.
Let me tell you the excitement I felt when I got to shove it in Kyle's face that this house was actually good.
Listen, I didn't have high hopes for this because I was like, this seems like there's no story here. That's kind of how I looked at it, and I was like, if I have no story to tell, I mean, it's not going to be good. But we went through, and obviously there is a story throughout it, especially because there's a podcast episode and everything about it.
Yeah.
But dude, this is like the tier of like, or the level of what Dead Man's Pier was last year, as far as like set design.
Yes.
I
told you I knew what I was talking about.
Obviously, it's set in this village. You will see that village in there.
Yes.
You'll go through a whole church. You'll have obviously these worshipers everywhere around you.
So many like higher up moments too, where there were scare actors up high,
Yeah.
which I love to see. That it's like my favorite thing that they've been doing recently.
So that was an unexpected one for me to actually like a lot because I didn't know anything about it. And I was
Yeah.
like,
I was very excited for it, and I fell in love with it going through it. It's just, I loved how everything looked, and I loved the design of the house and the design of the characters, and just overall execution was great.
yeah. Because the way I seen it, I was like, I don't know if this is witches, I don't know if this is vampires, I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
But it is a cult. It's not witches, it's not vampires, it's a cult. Is what it is.
Yeah.
So if you're going into it thinking it is the same on witch trials, like we said through a million videos,
Yeah.
it's not.
No.
It's not that.
But it's good.
Yeah, no, it is good though. It is good. Okay, scare zones. There's not one that missed for me.
No. No.
Obviously, when it rained opening night, we didn't see much.
Yeah.
But going back 2 days, like for 2 days after that, we got to actually see the scare zones with the still walkers actually being in there and things
Yeah.
like that. Vamp 69 for me is standing out so far this year, but like, man, the Oddfellow to Zodiac area, which we showed this in the live stream, but the Oddfellow to Zodiac area is so good.
It is.
The fact that they're like a connected scare zone, basically.
Yeah, I was not sure how I would feel about the placement of the Oddfellow zone, just because it's just strange. It's not what we're used to.
Mm-hmm.
But it flows so nicely. Like it kind of just makes sense.
Yeah. Like the the design for every character in those zones, whether it's like a vampire in the zone, or it's the Zodiac signs, or it's Dr. Oddfellow in there. This is all really good. I love that Dr. Oddfellow is hot mic'd.
Yeah.
That he's not just voice lines, like Pumpkin Lord or something like that. And he actually is walking the streets interacting with people.
Yes. The amount of people that saw him picking on, so great.
Yeah. No, those two zones are great. Jungle of Doom is really cool. I don't know how to describe it, but it's really cool. And there's like a transition in that zone with this whole like crystal skull element that I believe Dr. Oddfellow's younger self has. That you'll see like all the characters freeze and then come back to life right after it happens. And like the trees will be going crazy with lights and things like that.
Yeah.
So I recommend staying in that zone long enough because we didn't know that was a thing.
No, we were just walking through and you could hear the noise change, and then slowly everything starts glowing green. And even like the bats and the eyes in the trees, like they turned from red to green too.
Yeah.
So it was just like, what is going on? And then you see everybody kind of standing still, and it was just like a really cool, like immersive experience for just that moment.
Yeah, so again, all these scare zones are really good. Vamp, Jungle Doom, Zodiac, all of these are fantastic. I have no scare zone. I'm like, Like Shipyard, like I thought maybe Shipyard would be the one. I was like,
Yeah.
But the fact that we're seeing like old HHN characters in
Yeah.
Shipyard used right,
Yeah.
like obviously they're dropped into Horror Nights by him. That I love, like seeing the Tooth Fairy, seeing the bats, seeing the things like that inside of there, the Scolders, like things like that in that zone, being used right is good.
Yes.
It's really good.
It makes sense.
And obviously throughout all the scare zones, you'll be able to find Dr. Oddfellow in all of them. And I like being able to look at the characters and be like, that's Oddfellow right there.
Yeah.
Like doing that's really cool. That's really
Yes.
cool. But honestly, there's no gripes with like major gripes, I guess, with this year's event.
No.
It's much stronger than the past years to me.
I agree.
Only gripe I have is obviously the wait for everything. The fact that usually I get done with everything. Penthouses,
Yeah.
the show, like I get done with everything in one night. But it took me 3 this time, and it's taking people with Express even like 2 days sometimes. Like I know on opening night Express was completely like hard to deal with because it was just too hard. I know the rain like messed everything up and all that. But it seems like this year's so busy that even Express is having like longer waits.
Yeah.
From what we know, because we don't use Express usually.
Yeah, but you know, so we will.
Maybe, well, honestly, we'll probably have to upgrade to
Yeah.
Express because the standby lines are just too long.
Yeah.
Too long. Everything is crowded. Like, if you want food, you'll be waiting a while.
The food lines are absolutely insane this year too.
Tribute store is going to be packed. Like, I realized I didn't even record the tribute store for you guys. I'll have to go back and do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to... Honestly, it's hard as a creator to film everything because it's so busy. But obviously that's nothing against HHN or Universal.
No, it's just HHN is growing.
Yeah, it is.
And there's a lot of big IPs this year, so.
Yeah. I hope you enjoyed this jumbled mess of a video that I'm going to be putting together. I don't know exactly everything I recorded at this point. So we'll see. You'll know by now because you'll be watching the ending part now. But
yeah.
Thank you for watching this video. If you want more HHN 32 content, subscribe and click the bell notification icon so you're always notified whenever we post. If you want to become a member of the channel, you can do so by joining the Haunted Homies to receive exclusive content from the Horror Fiends, including live stream after parties, exclusive Discord channels, and early access to select videos on the channel. But besides that, Salem is calling for us, so we should probably cater to him.
Yeah.
We will see you in the fog, and we will see you in the morgue.